Hello there, everyone. I am your host, the Sea Monster, and I welcome you all to part 3 of my essay video series on Godzilla vs. Kong. Back in part 1, I covered the film's story and character work. And back in part 2, I discussed the world building, which adds to the MonsterVerse as a whole. I do recommend checking back at parts 1 and 2 and watching them first in order to have proper context for this one going forward. Now, before we get into discussing the visual effects and action sequences in GVK, I do want to make a slight addendum to a previous part in my series here. So, back in part 2, I used the Jurassic Park films and their lack of scientifically accurate dinosaurs as an example of how just because something is scientifically inaccurate, that doesn't make a film or certain franchise bad, implying that there's more to a film or film franchise than whether or not a dinosaur has feathers. However, in light of Jurassic World Dominion, or at least its first trailer, featuring the introduction of feathered dinosaurs, I figured I might as well add the caveat of at least the first few entries of the Jurassic Park / Jurassic World series having dinosaurs that aren't scientifically accurate. In that just because the original Jurassic Park, for example, doesn't have scientifically accurate dinosaurs with feathers, that doesn't make it bad automatically. So since anybody might be bringing up the question regarding Dominion and its inclusion of feathered dinosaurs into the Jurassic Park / Jurassic World franchise, well, there's my addressing of it, in a nutshell. Regardless, since we got all that done and out of the way, let's march onward and discuss how this film handles its visual effects and action sequences. Let's get right into it. The film provides fast visual spectacle when it comes to the monster battles, especially the ones where Kong and Godzilla are pitted against each other. The monsters definitely move faster than normal. In fact, in comparison to monster fights from the previous entries where the combatant monsters appear to move slow due to their sheer size, the fights in GVK definitely make the monsters seem more agile and vicious. Even Godzilla, who has been shown in the past to be not quite so agile. It's one thing to depict something like the Warbats in the Hollow Earth as agile because they're giant snakes that can fly and glide. But something like Mechagodzilla, which is a large Godzilla-shaped war machine made entirely out of metal, meant to endure a lot of abuse from other titans, definitely comes off as more agile than what would be considered possible in some parts of his big scene, where he essentially dominates Godzilla. However, one thing that would allow this film to have an edge over some of the other entries, on a visual level, objectively speaking, is the fact that the action is shot in brightly lit environments with plenty of wide shots, showing us the full picture of the action sequences at various points. Whether it's the set piece in the Tasman Sea or both battles in Hong Kong, there's plenty of kaiju action that is shot in a way that makes them all not only look, but also feel large and epic in scale and brutal in nature. People have criticized Godzilla 2014 and King of the Monsters for having their action scenes take place in dark or dimly lit environments, or environments with stormy weather. While the action scenes in both those movies are still well done in their own right, I do understand where people are coming from when they say that it would be refreshing for an American Godzilla film to have action that doesn't take place at night, or at least during a rainy day. And that's not even counting Godzilla 1998. So Godzilla vs. Kong definitely has an edge over those movies when it comes to having satisfying kaiju action, perhaps even having the best action in the entire series thus far. Sure, some of the physics being shown on display in some of these big set pieces don't quite line up with how they'd be in real life, perhaps. Like how an aircraft carrier could be able to stay afloat even with not one but two titans fighting on top of it, or the physics of Kong being able to leap great heights from boat to boat or building to building despite his sheer mass, and by extension his size, certainly being more than your average ape. Regardless, the film still delivers, and very much so, in providing action set pieces that feature plenty of moments of visual splendor, such as when Godzilla and Kong battle in Hong Kong, and the final battle involving Mechagodzilla, as well as several hard-hitting moments, such as when Kong uses his axe on Godzilla, including in a fun moment which calls back to 1962's King Kong vs. Godzilla, or when the latter viciously overwhelms the former, or even when Kong brutally kills the Warbats when he first arrives in the Hollow Earth, or when Kong defeats Mechagodzilla in a way that is very much akin to a Mortal Kombat fatality. The monsters are also realized in great detail, with the CGI doing very well in portraying them in a physical manner as realistically as possible. There are several moments where we get up close and personal with the monsters, like Kong, where the details on his face, his hands, the hair across his body, and other such things make him look amazing. Granted, we have reached a point now with CGI where, with enough money and talent, we can make CG apes look practically pitch perfect and photorealistic, whether it's the Caesar trilogy of Planet of the Apes films, Rampage, or Peter Jackson's King Kong, but the amount of work that was put into realizing Kong through CGI cannot be overlooked, as it's still highly impressive. Godzilla, as well as Mechagodzilla, also look great, with the detail on Godzilla's body as put on display makes him look one of the best yet in the whole Godzilla franchise, while Mechagodzilla is fully realized with a metallic look that makes him look industrial, with all the various panels, gears, and mechanisms going on throughout him, yet sleek, as if he was pulled out fresh after construction. Despite a few moments of CGI and green screen that may not look completely great here and there at points, they're so few and far between that they barely affect the overall quality in the visual department. The CGI for the Titans in GVK is very much well done for the most part, especially when it carries over the consistent quality of CGI as seen throughout the MonsterVerse, used to bring the Titans and their spectacular kaiju-sized battles to life. Well, I think we've done well in covering the visual spectacle in Godzilla vs. Kong, and there pretty much seems to be not much else to say about the film overall, so I guess it's time for us to bring this essay video series on it to an end. In conclusion, Godzilla vs. Kong was a very satisfying payoff of 3 films building up to an epic crossover between 2 of the most iconic movie monsters of all time, as well as such a payoff of almost 6 decades worth of waiting for those 2 titans to have a rematch, in a meta sense of course. While the film certainly has some objective flaws and shortcomings that do keep it from being a great entry in the MonsterVerse, or a great entry in either the Godzilla or King Kong franchises, the things that it gets right, such as the visual spectacle in comparison to other films in the series, the character work on the Titans as well as certain human characters, and the payoffs that have been set up since the start of the MonsterVerse, are so strong and so well done that they manage to overcome such flaws. While the flaws still persist, the pros are enough to at least outweigh the cons. And that is why I would consider Godzilla vs. Kong to overall be pretty good in terms of filmmaking, and for it to be a strong entry, not just in the MonsterVerse, but also in both the Godzilla and King Kong franchises. So, that just about does it for this series. I'd like to thank you all very much for checking this one out and sticking with it, as well as a big thank you to anyone who continues to check out my content. I will say that I won't be doing a 3-part series like this, at least for a little while, and my next project will definitely be a 2-parter. Whatever that may be, I will let you all know about in the near future. And as far as whether or not I will be doing a series on Godzilla 2014 and Kong Skull Island, the cards are certainly on the table, but I probably won't be doing those anytime soon because I do have certain projects that I would like to get to first. Just a little trivia for you all. I was originally going to do all 4 MonsterVerse films from Godzilla 2014 to GVK in one big essay video series, but it proved to be much more daunting of a task than I would like to make an attempt at, and I feared that I would fall short in some parts when trying to talk about these 4 films. So I went on to just do an individual series for each entry so that I could properly cover them all. Some of you all may find it odd that I did Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong before doing 2014 and Kong Skull Island, but that was because discussions surrounding King of the Monsters and GVK were a lot more fresh within the kaiju fan community than it was for something like 2014. So I wanted to throw my hat into the ring as soon as I can, and hopefully I've managed to do well in that end. Nonetheless, I am still interested in covering 2014 and Skull Island, as I have somewhat of a plan for how I would tackle them in the future. And stranger things have happened before where a certain project had taken precedent in an unexpected manner, Monster Hunter 2020 being an example. So definitely keep an ear out for when I do decide to cover these two films, as well as for announcements for all other projects which I have coming up. And that's all pretty much it. Again, thank you all for watching, and until my next video or series, I will see you all later.